Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are, and welcome to another episode of Electric.Aero Mobility.news. I am your host, Nicholas Zard, and also the founder and CEO of Electric.Aero Mobility. Electric.Aero Mobility LLC. Today we're going to talk about something I'm really passionate about. Yep, another of those things I'm passionate about, and it's the electric short takeoff and landing aircraft, or eSTOL. But before I say that, let me explain a little bit about who I am. As I said, my name is Nicholas Zard. I've been around in the electric mobility industries for about 17 years, almost 20 years if you consider my passion before I did all of this professionally. I've acted as a consultant and as a journalist, hence Electric.Aero Mobility.news, where we're basically trying to educate people around what does advanced air mobility mean and what is UAM, eVTOL, eSTOL, all of these terms that we use in this fairly new industry. So if you go back on the website, which is Electric.Aero Mobility.news, you'll be able to go to the very first articles and see where I try to bring you up to speed on what AAM is. So up until now, we've covered very broad topics around AAM, what it means, what it is a vertiport, what is the infrastructure needed to get AAM operated. And last week, we started talking a little bit more about what's happening inside the industry, and I wrote an article that gave you an idea of the differences between the two of the biggest names out there when it comes to advanced air mobility, and that's Joby and Archer. Very different companies, very different lifespan. Although similar products on the surface, while these products are actually very different and use a very different way of achieving more or less the same results. So we went a little bit more into that, and I'll let you understand what the cultural differences are. Now, another article that I wrote was UAM versus RAM, or urban air mobility versus regional air mobility. And if you read the news, you might think that urban air mobility, UAM, is going to start first with what we call electric vertical takeoff and landing aircraft, eVTOLs. But that's not necessarily the case, at least not automatically with pure battery-operated vehicles. Hybrid vehicles are showing a lot of potential to not only do the eVTOL side of operation that UAM, but also the regional air mobility operations. And just to recoup all of what we talked about, it's also written on the website, and I've shot a few videos about that. UAM is urban air mobility, and that's inside a city, and worst case scenario from the airport to downtown, right? Regional air mobility is city to city, so this is longer. And of course, as you go longer distances, you carry more people, you need a powertrain that can do these things. And so far, battery energy density, meaning how much energy is within a certain amount of volume and weight of a battery, does not really mean we can yet bring forward 9 people for, a 2-hour flight. So far, it's about 15 minutes to 20 minutes, which is just enough to go from an airport to the downtown center. So in other words, in order to achieve these regional air mobility capacities, we have fixed-wing airplanes, and these are airplanes that can either be purely electric or have a hybrid powertrain. It doesn't matter. In this case, I want to talk about a company that I love, Electra.Aero. And Electra.Aero is really a merger of two companies that were developing similar but different products, and they're called eSTOL. So eSTOLs are electric, of course, short takeoff and landing aircraft. Now, STOLs, as we know them, nothing new. They exist. You can look into the Red Bull challenges. They're the airplanes with really big wings that can just take off on very short runways and land on even shorter runways. And so the concept is still applicable when it comes to electric mobility or electric air mobility. They're called eSTOLs. And Electra, both companies, when they joined together, they decided to create a product that, we call it blown lift, basically. So the wings, now we're getting technical, right? In order for an airplane to fly, it's really optimized for flying at a certain altitude. And that's why when you fly on a 737, A320, or even an A380 for that matter of fact, the wings, if you notice at takeoff, will come down a bit, will extend, right? And the slats forward and the flaps behind. So the eSTOL here that we're talking about, Electra's eSTOL, which they call the EL2 Goldfinch, this is their demonstrator. And so they have slats that come all the way down, like probably, I'm estimating, please don't quote me, about 40 degrees or maybe even 45 degrees. And what the electric propellers do on the wings is that they blow a lot of air under the wing, hence the blown lift effect. So what it does basically is that you push a lot of air under the wing, which means you have more portants, which means basically you can take off much sooner, much quicker, and of course carry heavier loads than a pure eVTOL that relies on propellers, even if it has wings or not. A whole new topic, which we'll talk about a little bit later, the different types of configurations within the eVTOL industry. So in this case, Electra.Aero demonstrated a remarkable performance of its EL2 Goldfinch aircraft. Goldfish, that's not a bad name too, by the way. Goldfinch aircraft, and I'll talk a little bit about. I've known Mark Osman, who is the I think he's the technical officer of the company. Excellent person, Mark. If you're watching, hello. Who actually has a lot to offer with that. But anyway, the aircraft should be ready to operate by 2028 under the FAA Part 23 certification. And one of the reasons also why a lot of us think that, you know, regional air mobility and specifically eSTOLs might be very first to operate is because it's easier, and I really mean that in relativity, but it's easier to certify an electric aircraft that is based on an airplane than it is for an eVTOL. And in between, somewhere along the line, you have John Air Mobility that operates in both worlds. So, but that's one of the reasons why Mark was always very gung-ho about eSTOLs, and why eSTOLs would probably be the very first ones to work. So specifically, the blown lift effect, and it's written right here. Yes, that's right. So the blown wing lift effect, so shoving a lot of air under the wing, makes this aircraft be able to use 10% of a regular airstrip, right? So what did they? Oh yeah, there it is. They were able to take off with only 170 feet of runway, and land, and by the way, under 170 feet of runway, and land within under 114 feet of runway. Now, if you know what this means, basically almost 3 foot to a meter, that is very, very short. And it opens up a whole case of operations where eSTOLs are seen as an amazing product, also for warehouses where it's easy to put a 200-foot runway somewhere where you can just bring in cargo, very important to delivery or last few hundred miles of delivery with these that would normally have to be trucked in or something like that. So they've been flying for between April and May of this year, 2024. And the longest flight, by the way, happened for 1 hour and 43 minutes. That's already pretty much a record, I believe, to this day. Don't quote me on it, but I think it is. So far, the EL Goldfinch has flown up to 6,500 feet, but it has also taken off as slowly as 25 knots. Now remember, aircrafts land at easily well over 100 knots, or take off at well over 100 knots. So this is pretty good. This is about a quarter of the regular airspeed that they would need to do it. There's a video there. You can see the aircraft doing it. So I just wanted to write about this achievement because we try not to cover the news in electricairmobility.news for the simple reason that I was a journalist. I chase up to the news. It's not great. We never get to the finer details and everything. This news might be a little bit old, but at least I can give you a little bit of background insight as to why Electra is probably the leading eSTOL company out there. What Mark also did with his original company called Airflow was to develop a lot of the technology. and Electra was developing its own, and it was just a perfect match made in heaven. And that's why today we have what we have. So we hope you've enjoyed these videos. I'm trying to shrink them a little bit more so you have more time watching them. And also, I apologize. I've noticed that YouTube just clipped some of my videos. Now I have to go back and watch everything, make sure everything is right there. So apologies if you didn't see the rest of the other videos. I'm uploading them again, and I'm going through each and every one of them to make sure that YouTube works the way it's supposed to. But I've got good news. We're working on different systems that will help us do this in a much better way. We hope that you've enjoyed this video about Electra's EL2 Goldfinch eSTOL demonstration. It's big news in the industry, and I'll recap very quickly. eSTOLs have the potential of taking on regional air mobility. They also have the potential of taking on warehouse-to-warehouse distribution, especially for limited amounts of cargo and the on-demand cargo that needs to get there very quickly. Think about also Alaska, faraway regions. You could have these aircraft fly for an hour or 2 hours and deliver medicine that's important. There's also their final product will be able to have 9 people on board fly. So take off in a very short runway and land in a very short runway. The record here was under 140 feet to take off, less than 114 feet to land. So, do the calculation in meters. I'm not going to do that because I'm really bad at math in general. But you can see it. I will put it on the website, on the article, so that you can see it. Hope you've enjoyed this, and please stay tuned for much more as we discover about the world of advanced air mobility, and especially what we do here, Electra.Aero Mobility LLC, is we offer a whole design, conceptualization, and implementation of what vertiport infrastructures mean, but also energy, production, storage, and management in general. My name is Nicholas Zart, and I look forward to seeing you later. Please like, subscribe, share. We're looking to bump up our viewership to over 100 so that we can change now the title of our YouTube channel, and hopefully by the time we get 5,000, we're finally going to get some money back from YouTube and all those videos that you guys are watching that we're not getting anything for at this moment. In the meantime, I'm still working on my Patreon website. Hopefully that will work soon, and you can buy me a coffee here because, well, despite drinking tea, I still like my coffee too. Thank you. Bye-bye.